Well, hello everybody. How y'all? Hope everybody's doing good. I'm going to go back into the 24th chapter of Matthew. I was doing some more reading when we stopped on my last video, and I got down to verse number 15, I guess it was, and I want to pick up at verse number 16 and go down. What you need to do is keep in mind that as I read this, the church is already in heaven. The church is already been raptured out. And so the words that I'm going to read to you tonight are words that's going to happen to people that are left behind. So I want to start with verse number 16, and I don't know how far I'll go. I don't think I'll get through with the old chapter, but we'll find a place to stop. In verse 16 it says, "Then let them which be in the Judea flee into the mountains." There's people that's going to be running for their lives. Meaning they're going to leave their houses behind. The safety of their houses is not going to protect them. They're going to be running. It says, "Let them which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house." You're not going to need it. "Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes." You're not going to need it. "And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that gave suck in those days." Meaning, it might sound cruel, but that means even nursing mothers that doesn't know the Lord. Now, is God merciful over the child? Yes, he always is merciful over the children. But it says what it says right here. Verse 20 says, "But pray ye that your flight be not in winter." You know, winter time is cold. And I don't believe that we have ever seen the chill of winter like people's going to see it when the tribulation time comes. I believe the cold is going to be way worse than anything that you can imagine. Because he said that's the reason he's saying here, "Pray that your flight be not in winter, neither the Sabbath day." A lot of people's not going to worship the Sabbath day because they didn't know the Lord. They're going to take the mark of the beast. They're going to have the mark in their hand or the mark in their forehead. Verse 21, "For then shall be great tribulation." We're not talking about just some bad days. We're talking about tribulation like the world has never seen before. Notice what the verse says in 21. "For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, not ever shall be." That's a tribulation that we can't experience because we have never lived in that kind of tribulation. You take the worst devastation. Take the San Francisco earthquakes. Take World War II and the tragedy that happened in Japan. None of that is going to even compare to the tribulation that is going to hit the land when the tribulation time comes. And it says, "And except And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. There's going to be some people that they're not going to be saved. And the reason they're not going to be saved is because they never believed, even during the tribulation time. They never believed in God. And this verse makes it very clear. It says, but for the elect's sake, these days shall be shortened. There's going to be people that's going to not take the mark of the beast. And there's going to be people that is going to be spared with their life. And I believe this is who the scripture is talking about. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or lo, there, believe it not. See, there's going to be a lot of fake Christ during the tribulation time. People's going to be looking for some Christ that's going to help them. But there's going to be Christ that's going to be evil. I watched a little YouTube or a little Facebook clip tonight of a local church service. And it really somewhat depressed me because of what they was teaching the people. People are more concerned about tongues than they are a person going to heaven. I didn't even hear the message. I didn't even hear his message. I only tuned in for like 35 seconds, just long enough to hear them exalting people that had got the gift of the tongue. And I'm thinking, how many of them is going to get up thinking that they got something from God and they never got saved? I can't imagine anybody that would be leading someone astray to the point that they would go and teach people such things when a person has never been born from above. It just blows my living mind to know that we would take emphasis on all of that more than we would salvation. It's just amazing. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not, for there shall arise false Christ and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they would deceive the very elect. But see, the elect has something that God wants to people that want him. And he knows who it is that is really seeking him. But there's a lot of deception going on. There's a lot of deception going on today. It says in verse 25, behold, I have told you before. See, he's reminding them again. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. He's trying to tell them, look, you're not going to find no help. You're going to find help in me. But you're not going to find help in somebody that's leading you astray and leading you wrong. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even to the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. He's talking about the return when the 7 years are up and he returns to earth. And a lot of people don't know when he's returning. See, we're waiting on the rapture of the church. I'm waiting on the rapture of the church. I just got finished spending 20 minutes writing an article on my Facebook page about the corruption in government. It makes me sick to my stomach. I don't ever like any of my messages to be mixed with politics, but when I see someone that is treated worse than a dog, then I have to say something. I just have to say something. I'm tired of the politics. I'm tired of the aggravation that goes on. See, he's using a parable right here in verse 27, comparing the lightning cometh from the east and going to the west. That's how fast the Son of Man is going to come. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. You know what that means? I happen to have been raised on a farm, and when we had animals that died outside, I don't ever remember that an eagle ever showed up, but a pile of buzzards always showed up. And you know why? Because the buzzards took care of the animal. They gorged themselves on that animal. As long as that animal was there, that the buzzards would just literally eat everything about them that they could get off the bones. They would eat it all. Is that what he's saying right here? Yeah. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. That's hard to imagine that it will be dark for the length of time. See, we're used to seeing the sun come up. There won't be no stars in the sky at that time. There won't be no sunshine at that time. That's what it says right here. And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. A shaking like has never been shook before. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. Talking about weeping and crying. This here won't be no fake stuff either. This will be the real McCoy here. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send an angels with a great sound of a trumpet. Now, many people's going to say, well, Ken, that there is talking about the rapture. No, it's not. This is not talking about the rapture. This is talking about when he comes after the tribulation time. The church is already in heaven, but there's a sound of a trumpet. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And then he tells a parable right here. He's telling a parable. He's wanting to get people to understand. Now learn the parable of the fig tree. When the branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. What is he saying? He's saying when you see a green leaf, know that the fruit is coming that way pretty soon. So likewise, ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors. Talking about the tribulation time being over at the end of the 7 years. When the 7 years is done, that's when the Lord shows himself. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. But I've got great news. People don't have to experience this. You don't have to experience this. This is not as long as you know Jesus. You don't have to go through Matthew 24 as long as you know Jesus. You won't have to experience this right here. You'll be safely with the Father in heaven. You will be protected for all eternity. He says in verse 35, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. My Father only. Now, does Jesus know today? I believe he is back in heaven today. He has the power that he had before he came down here to earth. And I believe that he knows exactly, but I believe that Jesus is all about obeying God the Father. Because it says right here that none of this knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. And then he tells another little story to help us understand what he's saying. But as the days of Noah were, so he's referring to the Old Testament, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. And then he explains what he just said in verse 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. And that's what's going on today. Until the day that Noah entered into the ark. See, Noah was faithful in building that boat. God told him how to build it, how long to build it, how wide to build it, how tall to build it. He told him the kind of pitch that he wanted him to use to glue it together with. It took Noah 120 years to build the boat. The animals walked up and got on the boat. I don't think they even had to do any kind of wrestling or herding to get them into the boat. I think God allowed them to walk in, the ones that was picked out to go into the boat. Not all the animals could fit, but the ones that God called had walked in on their own accord. They was safely put away for a number of months while they was inside that boat until that dove was released from the window of that ark. And it brought back that green leaf. See, we just talked about the green leaf just a minute ago. That meant that it was a sign of life. And Noah knew then that he could release the animals. What is he saying right here? And knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall the coming of the Son of Man be. How many people do you think slammed on the door of that ark? Pretend my camera right here is the ark, and imagine it started drizzling a little bit. See, they had never seen rain during that time. And imagine that the people that said that Noah was a fool for going out there building such a boat, imagine them out there beating on that door and saying, Noah, let us in. We believe you now. He couldn't let them in. You know why he couldn't let them in? Because God shut the door. Noah didn't shut the door. God shut the door. He left it open for like 7 days, but God ultimately shut the door. I'm going to stop right there at verse 40. We'll pick back up on the next go around. Maybe the next video I will finish this chapter 24. The best news I could tell you today is God does not want you to experience Matthew 24. He don't want you experiencing anything about Matthew 24. And he's allowing me to come out here and send a nice warning to people that need to know. elderlyministry.com is the website. There's a phone number that you can use, that you can call. You're welcome to call. I appreciate y'all listening.